Right, today we're going to be talking about area, use of space on a tatami, matted area, how you get out of the corners. So some really important stuff. It's going to be the first of two videos. A lot of it talking you through, getting you to think about different things when you're fighting, when you're sparring, how you should think about using space and using corners to your advantage. When you're doing that, sometimes fighters will put you into corners. Sometimes you should, as a fighter, use a corner to get a better position. Sometimes very aggressive fighters, they'll want to put you in a corner, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't use the space appropriately to score a point. And to be honest with you, whether you're doing any type of sparring, it doesn't matter if it's free continuous, like full contact, sport karate, Olympic sport karate, whatever it is, you can use the space the same. So it doesn't matter if it's got a corner. Different if it hasn't, but if it's got a corner, you can use that space. So obviously, normally what we all, we start in the middle, and most predominantly is to step forwards and meet the person in the middle. A lot of the time, you're put in the corner. So if we're here, you're put in the corner position. You don't always draw the fighter in to get yourself in this position. Okay, so let's talk about being pushed into the corner first. So someone pushes you, whether it's through techniques or their general presence, where they're pushing you and you feel like you're edged in. It normally happens when you're winning, the person's losing. It could be techniques. The better the fight, it won't need to be techniques that puts you into that position. They're just general aura, the energy that comes from them. You'll understand that if you fight. And you'll end up, you could be right on the edge. Now, obviously with karate, if you go out of the area, you'll be penalised because you're supposed to show good spirit, you're supposed to show strength of character, and you're supposed to fight. That's why you're there. So the idea is that you shouldn't step out, hence why you get penalised. So we get ourselves into the corner. Obviously, you would normally have a wall, and we need to use the space. So first of all, you need good peripheral vision. You need to know where those sides are. So when you are being pushed back, you absolutely should know how far the back line is. And if you use your peripheral vision here, then you can actually see the sides of the area. Now, how you get out can be done a lot of different ways. And also, how easy it will be dependent on your opponent and how good they are. So sometimes you can push forwards and then just sidestep round. So you can push in with a little stab. They will move back slightly and then you can sidestep. If there is a lot of pressure on you, you might have to do something slightly different. Whereas you stab out, you might throw techniques, so they just gives you a bit of space for you then to move out. Sometimes you will have to use your sidestepping and movement to get out. So this is where you have to be able to do lateral movement, which means sometimes going forward, sometimes stepping off, sometimes stepping in, then stepping off. That will be all dependent on how much you give as an attack before you go to one of the sides. And when you go to one of the sides, you break to one of the sides. So from here where I push off and I sidestep, or from this position, I give myself enough room to go straight into a sidestep. You're going to need to make sure once you get out of the area that you try and give yourself some space. So what you want to try and avoid is really going back into a corner again. Okay? Now, if you're very good at distancing, fighting from a corner is really important about your distancing, so how close you are to that other person. So when you get into another corner, some fighters will actually move and sidestep to another corner just to run the clock down. But we're making out that the person's good and they could pip us to a point. So we want to try and avoid going directly back in the corner. You might be in the vicinity of the area, but you don't want to go back into a corner. So it's really important when you're doing, you can do this in the mirror, you can do this in your home dojos without a person, but you really want to work on your sparring about getting out of corners. Even if you pull the person in. Now sometimes people will go back into a corner and draw you in to score a point, which we're going to talk about in the next video, okay? So on this one, it's all about coming out, getting out, so pushing, throwing maybe a half technique, a feint, or throwing a full technique. So a full technique, they might move back enough but then the idea is to get out of the position. It's not to maybe score on the person, but just to give you enough room. And you'll know that depending on what type of fighter it is and how they've got you into the corner in the first place. So they are some of the things, some of the data you've got to pick up as you're going along, and then you have to make a decision very quickly about what type of fighter it is and how you're going to get to the side. But you do absolutely need to know how to break off. Sometimes it might be stepping forwards and then breaking. Sometimes you can draw in, they give you enough space, and then you can just sidestep to the next position, okay? But always remembering when you do move that you have a guard of some sort. Not moving around, dropping your guard or having it too low, okay? Because you never know when a kick will be coming, okay? And give yourself enough space so you don't walk in to a stronger kick like a roundhouse kick or something like that. Okay, in the next video we'll talk a little bit about you actually putting yourself into a corner and putting yourself into that position.